My name is Dacia Clay. I'm the audio librarian here at Classical 91.7. While I'm a real librarian, I have a deep, dark secret. I know very little about classical music. I grew up listening to rock, and I know something about jazz. But when it comes to classical, I really want to learn. So, every week on this show, a classical music expert will give me a piece of classical music they think I should know, and then we'll discuss it. Come learn with me in the classical classroom. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Classical Classroom. I am Dacia Clay, and here with me today is ZOFO. Our ZOFO? I'm not sure how to say that, actually. ZOFO is a piano four-hands duo comprised of pianists Eva-Maria Zimmerman and Keisuke Nakagoshi, and I hope I did not mess up your name. They've been playing together since 2009, and we'll get to some of this information in a bit, so be patient. Eva is from Switzerland. She plays solo recitals as well as concertos and major symphonies. She graduated from the Conservatory of Geneva. She's also a faculty member at the University of San Francisco, where she teaches music. Keisuke began studying piano at the age of 10 in Japan and came to the U.S. when he was 18. He studied at the San Francisco Conservatory of Music. He studied with people like Emanuel Ax and has collaborated with people like Michael Tilson Thomas. He's currently pianist in residence at the San Francisco Conservatory of Music and the Opera Parallel. Am I saying that correctly?
That's right, yeah.
Oh, woo! I did it. So welcome to the program, you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
And you're currently in San Francisco right now.
Yes.
But through the magic of technology, you're here with me. It's amazing. So I'm hoping that today you can teach me a little bit about piano four-hands. But before we get to that, I'm hoping you can explain what the name ZOFO means.
ZOFO is actually an abbreviation of 20-finger orchestra. We turned 20 into the letters Z and O instead of 2 and O. So, and then finger orchestra, so ZOFO.
Cool. Is that another name for piano four-hands that's commonly used, or did you just like the sound of it?
No, we came up with 20-finger orchestra and then abbreviated it.
It's a really good description when you listen to the music. So what is piano four-hands, and why is it not called piano for four-hands?
It sounds like, a piano with 4 hands, but that's not what it is, of course. And pieces might be written for piano four hands, but we play piano four hands. That's just the term. And it means that we both sit on one long bench in front of one either upright or grand piano. And so we share the bench, we share the keyboard, we share the pedals. There's usually one person playing more the higher range of the piano and the other plays the lower range. And we switch off, so it's not always the same person playing the higher range, and vice versa.
I see. Yeah, because when you watch these performances, it's interesting. I watched some of your YouTube videos, and I mean, you're right next to each other, and I thought that's got to be an incredible amount of teamwork and sort of intimate. You both were sort of moving as one. As you sort of sway to the music, you were both doing the same swaying. You almost looked like one body playing this music.
You have to, because you share the keyboard, and I think one piano forehand is always about how not to bump each other.
Yeah, does that happen? Have you ever been...
it happens quite often during rehearsals or sometimes during performances. That's when we smile, and then people say, "Oh, you had so much fun when you played, you smiled." And then we're like, "Oh, that's when we messed up." So we decided to just smile all the time, or more often than when we mess up.
Well, so I'm interested in your new CD. It's called ZOFO Plays Terry Riley, and it's an all Terry Riley CD. And it is intense. I was listening to it yesterday, and I mean, you guys are just playing your hearts out on this thing. There are so many notes. Is this something that he typically does as a composer? Does he write a lot for piano four-hands, or was this like a new thing for him?
No, actually, people don't do that so much these days. So these 5 pieces that were already there from Heaven Ladder Book 5, commissioned by Sarah Cahill, who's a Bay Area pianist. And, if she wouldn't have commissioned these pieces, he probably wouldn't have written anything for piano 4 hands.
And from what I was sort of reading up, some of the pieces on the album were written for 4 hands, but then some were not. Some were arranged. And did you guys do that arranging? Did Terry do the arranging?
So there are 3 pieces that we arranged particularly for this recording. And 2 pieces out of 3 are originally written for Kronos string quartet. And one piece is a solo piano piece. And I did the arrangement from string quartet to 1 piano 4 hand. One of the pieces is a half wolf dance mad in Moonlight. That was actually Terry's pick, that he thought this piece would work well with a 1 piano 4 hand. And I picked the G song.
How did this style of playing come about? It's very unique. It's, if it were me and I wanted to play with another pianist, I'd just go, oh, well, let's get 2 pianos. But in this style, you're actually both sitting right next to each other, somehow not falling off the bench while you're playing. So do you know, kind of where this came from?
Well, one aspect is the teaching method. The student plays with teacher, because the chamber music, playing with other musicians setting, makes learning more interesting.
Yeah.
Other aspect is people used to play the transcription of symphonies or the orchestra works on 1 piano, and of course you need more than 2 hands because there's so many lines and notes, and there are actually quite a lot of arrangements of those the orchestra works.
Yeah, I'm imagining that sheet music looks insane. There's so many notes.
More than solo works.
It was actually, piano duet was also a way to socialize in the 19th century with the other sex. So you couldn't, it was okay to dance together, it was okay to play piano duet together, but it wasn't okay to hold hands before you were married or stuff like that. So it was just another way to get to know each other a bit better.
The piece is written more recently has more action. I mean that the old pieces for 1 piano 4 hand is more about kind of territorial. The lower, that we call actually secondo is the one who plays lower register.
Yeah.
And primo is the higher register.
Okay.
Old pieces have more of a territorial, and then you don't really mess with other person's territory.
Oh, I see. It's
As
like
opposed
middle
to
of the keyboard, you stay on this half.
Exactly.
Okay.
But as the more the modern music, we invade our territory more often.
And you mean like you cross hands mid performance?
Cross hands, and this is something not known, but the pedal under the keyboard, there are whole other action going on there too. They're just kind of fighting over the pedal.
Yeah, how does that work? Like hands are a lot easier to control, but
Right.
feet,
One of the hardest things about playing piano 4 hands is the pedal. I think the pedaling. So the pedaling, when you press down that right pedal, it lifts up all the dampers, so all the strings can vibrate freely. So it enhances the sound and makes it vibrate longer. But that's something solo pianists or even chamber music pianists who play with strings or flutists or singers, they just do that without thinking. We all do that without thinking.
Yeah.
Then sometimes in a piano duet situation, you have to pedal for the other person without actually the pedaling making sense to your part.
Oh.
So you have to kind of have the brain of the other person or so, and then do it. So that's really hard. And sometimes it's so hard that we just decide, okay, for this section, you know, how about you take the pedal there, because it's your part is kind of more important, and it's easier if you take care of the pedal there.
Wow.
That's actually my trick to solve this problem. Just let Eva do it.
Terry is sort of a granddaddy of minimalist music, but these pieces don't actually sound very minimal.
No, not at all.
Right.
Yeah.
You seem to be really drawn to contemporary, very like sort of now and with it sounding classical pieces. What drew you to Terry's work?
We got our friend Katrina Krimsky put us in touch with Terry Riley, and she actually played the pulse, like the beat in one of Terry Riley's most famous pieces, In C. It's that piece that launched the minimal music movement. So she's really played a big role there too. And she gave us the score of his piece Cinco de Mayo after one of our performances. And then we sent a performance recording of that piece to Terry, and after that he just sent us all his other music and said, please play it.
Like Eva said, we started off from Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah.
And we both really liked the piece. And if you like the piece by this composer, then, of course you want to know more and more. And and we hit the wall when we played the last piece of 5 sets. And, there has to be more. And then we arranged 3 more pieces by him. And then we were really lucky to have him write a piece for us. This piece is called Praying Mantis Rag.
So tell me kind of what's going on in this piece. What I can understand the rag aspect of it. It's got that sort of ragtime sound. What's the praying mantis part?
Oh, we have no clue. But, sometimes people playing the piano kind of look like praying mantises. Maybe it's that.
Maybe. Yeah. It sounds like there's kind of like a showy sort of performative element to piano four hands. It sounds like you're sort of doing a dance.
Yeah.
In addition to playing.
I think it's very physical.
Yeah.
I often compare it with figure skating. You don't have much room.
Yeah.
But you can still make something elegant out of it.
Yeah, and do you guys sort of play up that element of it where you, when you're doing shows, do you do crazy tricks where one person stands up over the other?
Well, most of the time, actually, music does it without thinking like, oh, we have to like raise arm like high or, you know, like just thinking about the choreography. But if you think about the music and how we should play it without bumping into each other, it just naturally does it.
Yeah, I think we both agree that the music comes first, and then we find movements that serve the music and make more sense. And it's not like we want to do a show or so.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
So it just kind of organically happens that
Right.
you're doing these different sort of moves and okay. So what is your pre-performance deodorizing regimen like? When you get all sweaty during a performance, do you do I'm just messing with you.
I say by the time we get all sweaty, it doesn't, like the smell doesn't matter to me because I'm so involved with the music already.
What are your shared or respective favorite pieces on this album?
I love Etude from Old Country, the first track.
Oh, okay.
of
Oh,
this
yeah.
album.
That was really cool.
Yeah. It starts off very quiet and then kind of a flamenco like what we just listened to,
Yeah.
but it gets more heated up. Heated up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. What I think is interesting about this piece is you're both playing the same pattern. Aren't you? Am I hearing that correctly?
Later in this piece, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this section.
Oh, that is so cool. I love how it goes from sounding like this sort of unassuming, like you said, like sort of flamenco piece, and then just sort of builds into this craziness. Like it's really
And
really
there's
great.
still like a hints of minimalism too.
Right, I was gonna say
Yeah.
there's that sort of, you know, I'm more familiar with Philip Glass, and it's got those repeating patterns. Yeah.
The song, the piece is actually based on an older piece called "Song from the Old Country" that was written for Kronos,
Oh.
and then he wrote a poem, "Song from the Old Country," and usually when we perform Etude from the Old Country, I read that poem, which is a very beautiful poem, and then halfway through, Keisuke starts vamping the bass, and then I just sit down and start playing that flamenco-like beginning.
Oh, that's awesome.
And
Is
I think it really helps people to imagine something.
So who turns the pages?
Oh, whoever has available hand.
Okay. do you guys kind of work that out in your rehearsals
Oh,
ahead
yes.
of
Oh,
time?
yeah.
Because it seems like that's a really important part of playing any piano piece, is having that page turner there and having them do it in time.
I personally don't like having page turner, like another person sitting right behind me, like whole time performing it. And if it's two people playing at one keyboard, there must be a one hand available to turn page, without having somebody sitting right behind us whole time.
And Keisuke would go out of his way and, copy the whole score again so that the page layout is different, just so that our page turns, make more sense. Or
Yeah.
So that's a
Well, the whole the page turn is definitely one of the big, what is it? The motion. So we had to have that in the body as a music.
Yeah. Yeah, when I've watched piano performances before, solo piano performances, and I see that person standing there turning the page, I always think I would feel so claustrophobic having this person stand there next to me. Well, and also you have to have such trust that person is actually reading and keeping up with the music and keeping up with your performance.
Yeah,
and so,
exactly.
So,
I've had horrible experiences with page turners in other chamber music concerts where the page turner was so nervous that all I had to think was about the page turner, and I couldn't focus on the music, and I just tried to calm that page turner down. And then they would turn 2 pages at once or not see the repeat or. So, and I don't like to be a page turner myself because I'm always afraid I would mess up everything.
Right. It seems like it's got to be an enormous amount of pressure because
Oh, yeah.
it's all on you. If you screw it up, you've screwed up this artist's performance completely. So it sounds like this is sort of a benefit of piano four hands, is that you've got 2 people playing the same piece of music, both occasionally with a free hand to turn the page.
Yeah.
Right.
And who are actually involved in playing the piece. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Eva, what about you? Like, do you have a favorite piece on the album?
Well, I like G Song a lot, but I like them all. Like I also like Half Wolf Dances Mad in Moonlight a lot. There's so much like gamelan, madness in it. And I spent my early childhood in Indonesia and actually on the island Tarakan, but a lot of times, when there was a vacation, we would go to Bali, and that's when it was not at all touristy yet. So I kind of grew up almost more with gamelan music than classical music.
Really?
So it just reminds me of those, full moon nights there and all the dances and the mysteriousness of, for me as a child, just seeing all these costumes and the makeup and everything in the open night, in the warm air. It kind of evokes that feel.
Were playing these pieces more challenging, less challenging than other works you've done before?
And it's just something entirely different, I think.
Yeah.
There's a lot less pressure, actually, because Terry Riley himself is so open to anything new, even, spontaneous changes in the performance are totally okay with him. So we had this huge get-together last fall at our friend's place, who's also a close friend to Terry, and we played the whole program for him there in her studio, and he was just so encouraging, and said actually very little about each piece, but just, telling us that he trusted our instincts and just give a little suggestion here and there. But he just was very positive about it.
He seems like just such a really warm person, and like he always has the coolest titles for his pieces. I mean, they're just like little poems, Eva-Maria Zimmerman and Keisuke Nakagoshi, thank you so much for being on the show. This was a really interesting discussion. I have learned a lot about piano four hands and Terry Riley, and I can't wait to listen to more of your music.
Thank you.
Thanks very much for having us.
All right, that about does it for this episode of Classical Classroom. For more Classroom, go to houstonpublicmedia.org/classroom. You can find us on SoundCloud or on your Stitcher or TuneIn apps on your mobile device. Follow us on Twitter and Tumblr, or send me an email at dclay@houstonpublicmedia.org. Thanks to audio producer Todd, Terry Riley, Hulslander for making us sound nice. Thanks to Program Director Sinjin Flynn for always giving me great fodder to make fun of him with. Thanks to Editor Mark DiClaudio for his piercing anime eyes. Thanks to Eva-Maria Zimmerman and Keisuke Nakagoshi for being on the show. Thanks to me for saying words. But most of all, thanks to you for listening. We'll catch you next time.